inviting in whoever would like to help us with our Ascension Handbook today. Who are you able to feel around you?
Mm. So right now, actually, I just feel like I have access to any information. Like I'm in this like center space with this like plate above me, and there's like glittery, almost looks like around the plate above me. Like it's a huge like platform above me. I'm sorry, not like a plate, but it's shaped like a plate. But around it almost looks like the ring around a planet. But in it is all this sparkly information. And it's like I can access any of that information that I seek. So I don't really see any guides. They're just showing me like I'm at this place of asking.
Beautiful. So, the first place that we'll start today is what is the Matrix?
So they told me they were preparing me for this session last night, and that the matrix is programmings and beliefs that somewhat work as to help the ego identify with self. And so the ego comes down here and allows you to separate yourself from identity of source so that you're separate from source, you're an individuality. So the matrix is any belief or programming that is a construct of this world that separates you from source.
So,
So when
what? Sorry, go ahead.
So like they're saying, like I'm like Carrie was asking, like, so when the matrix falls, like what does that even mean? They're like, well, that's a falling down, and like the belief of the programming that you've experienced that you're separate from others, like that you're not here in unity consciousness. So the releasing of the matrix is somewhat what they would say would be Christ consciousness, because that would be like unconditional love consciousness, the like understanding that you're all source incarnate having experience. And so when it's falling, it's those illusions that you're separate is falling. So it's not necessarily the construct of the reality and the like what you see with your eyes. It's on an energetic level that those things fall. And so then your world becomes, when those constructs and ideas fall, it helps you then realize that everything's interconnected. And then you have power and mastery over energy.
So, would you say that each planet has their own matrix, or each like experience of the planet has their own matrix? So, like, even though that there's a collective consciousness, since you still come in as your own individual consciousness, does that create the matrix of each planet?
Yes, so the matrix of the planet is constantly evolving and changing in a lot of ways, depending on where the collective's at, but it starts with you. It starts with self. You, by changing by starting to understand that you are all interconnected, starting with self, that creates a ripple effect that changes the matrix of the collective consciousness, because everything stems from self, from you and that belief, because this is the reality that you are on. This is the timeline that you are on. And so they're sending me so much information right now. Um, yes. So it starts with self, and then that different planets do have different core beliefs and different things that experiments that we want to have on those planets. So like we're showing Carrie like my hive mind consciousness versus a free will planet. Like there's difference of what makes up their matrix.
So, what is the difference between a free will planet and a high mind consciousness?
So a free will planet is where you are having an individual pathway of your path to evolution on Earth. So every choice that you make has a different timeline and ripple that it can go on. A hive mind consciousness means that you are all moving together um, with a similar goal in mind. Although you could be doing uniquely different things within your daily routine, but it's all going towards the same goal of the hive mind.
So could you give us an example of a hive mind planet?
We're actually showing like the reptilians, they're more of a hive mind. Like they're all working towards like the same goal. Trying to show Carrie keeps on going back to bees in her mind, and we're trying to redirect her away from that. We're like, no, that's not what we're showing you. That's what you're impressioning on yourself. So she's resisting it a little bit. So she's got to relax. Yeah, no, they like we're showing her not Mars, but it looks kind of like Mars where they lived in the tunnel systems and everything, but they lived more of a like there was one unified kind of understanding of what they wanted to accomplish. And so they all drove towards that hive mind. Yeah.
So would you say that hive mind is of a higher consciousness or a lower consciousness?
It could be both. Um, it could be both. It can be driven. It like all energy is neutral until you put an intention behind it. And so whatever that intention would be, what their collective is all working towards could be for the highest vibration, or it could be of a lower vibration.
Why did the movie The Matrix come out when it did?
Like we're showing humanity was it was a part of we place different things at the evolutionary steps where humanity is as a collective that they need to start asking questions. So we put it there so that people could really ask the questions, could really explore more, because it was part of of making the trajectory of the evolution of humanity like keep moving forward. Like we're showing Carrie's like seeing like Hansel and Gretel, like we're putting little cookie crumbs out. Like, okay, take that one, food for thought, think about it, work with it, take it, leave it, whatever, see where humanity's at. And we have to drop another cookie crumb, like to kind of gently lead you to evolution because of the veil forgetfulness while you're here on the planet. Like we have to help guide that way.
So if we're all in this matrix, what is the net around Earth? Like the net that we always hear about.
Are you talking about the firmament?
Like the energetic net that causes souls to recycle on Earth.
So what that is like an overlay that is encapsulating Earth. And in order to, like they're showing Carrie, in order to get through the net, the higher vibration you are, the less of the density of Earth and the frequency of density. So the higher vibration you are, you're able to actually slip through that net. So what you're at a certain point in your level of ascension, you become like less dense, less material and matter of your embodiment. And so you're able to then leave that dimension and leave that netting. Does that make sense? And so when you're here in recycling, since this is specifically what you're asking for, if you haven't evolved enough and you haven't reached that higher place of frequency, that you keep on getting kind of like caught in the net. Like you're too thick, you don't fall through, and so you keep coming back to have different experiences. But the netting is also like it's seeing like a spider webbing where that's you can also play that interwovenness and utilize that netting to be able to access others on your frequency and dimension.
So what was the purpose of this net and who put it here?
because we didn't want you leaving this earth. You're all here to master ascension. So we didn't want leaving this earth if you hadn't mastered that ascension yet. You wouldn't be ready for this is something that was an experiment, but also was like, we're showing a volunteer status. So you wanted to come experience this. It was our way of making sure that you had the experience you wanted to have experience of.
Perfect. So as we go to a fifth dimensional consciousness, will the net still affect us in any way?
As you go to a fifth dimensional consciousness, yes, but it won't, it will have the same functions, but not, once you go to the fifth dimensional consciousness, at some point you will evolve to being evolved out of needing your bodies. And so the netting won't be needed then.
So what is a dimension?
So what we're showing Carrie is like dimension is its own, like we're showing her a bubble and like everything encompassed within that bubble. And you could have a whole world inside of that bubble. And then the next one over could be a completely different world, but it can like overlay that bubble. I don't know somehow, but what they're saying is like dimensions are completely different experiences and realities that can overlay on top of one another.
How many dimensions are there?
There's the possibility for infinite dimensions, but the collective whole of everything hasn't evolved to all of those dimensions yet. So the more and more the lower dimensions evolve up, then that allows that other dimensions that were below it to then evolve to the next stage. So it's like a chain reaction. So like if you're in level 1, you go to level 2, then level 2 will go to level 3. It's almost like you're showing Carrie in school, like you're graduating to the next level. Well, the possibility of infinite dimensions exists, but the collective as a whole of all that exists hasn't evolved to all of those dimensions yet in this now here space and moment.
So why is it important for us to understand the dimensions?
We want you to understand the dimensions, to understand that life is not what the matrix programming of you understanding existence is not what you were told. And it is important for you to understand that that's manifestation is accessing different dimensions, different timelines, that you are able to, and you have potential to be able to utilize these to travel, to do those things. It is now time for you to understand dimensions because of where you're at in evolution to the fifth dimension. Evolution into the fifth dimension, you are going to use all of this energy, time, space, matter to be able to create the life you want to experience and to manifest and to use all of your what you call psychic gifts. And it's opening up that understanding to build on and to hone in on those skills. So the fifth dimension, you will be exploring, and you'll have as much time as you need to explore all of these things and play with all of these things, but we have to introduce it at a very elementary state for you to develop and to build on top of that.
So when they say that we're multi-dimensional beings, what do they mean?
Well, right now, Carrie's higher self is here assisting this session, and the fact that that is Carrie on another dimension, helping herself transmit this information. So we are able to be at different places at the same point in time and be able to access all those aspects of self and to be able to experience and understand higher perspectives from those different points of reference.
So what is the first dimension?
We're showing Carrie that the first dimension isn't really accessed by like, you don't go and incarnate on the first dimension. The first incarnation would be the third dimension.
So are we affected by the first and second dimension at all?
No, she's showing it just like the fundamentals of like the first and second don't really affect you all.
Okay, so for people that are new to the dimensions, what is the third dimension? How does it affect our reality?
Are you talking about this third dimension planet or all third dimension planets?
All third dimension planets.
The third dimension is just a density in which you can be a physical incarnation.
So what other planets are third dimension?
Oh, there are thousands of other third dimension planets. Some are of hive capacity, there are like 3 that are free will. It's very, very unique for a free will planet. Some are just existence, getting used to being in the physical form. There is really no point to it. It's just a place you go to get used to being in the physical body if you want. Others are training planets to prepare you for coming to the earth. So they allow you to be in physical form, yet they're of a higher frequency where it's like transitioning you down from being able to use your gifts and capabilities that are naturally come to you. So there are other planets, third dimension planets that are training planets. Yeah.
What's the fourth dimension?
Fourth dimension is what we show Carrie is time, that the dimension between, it's like an etheric time, the connectivity to create a linear experience.
And then when they say that we're going to the fifth dimension, what does that mean?
We're going to a fifth dimension means a higher frequency, a higher state where that film that between like accessing the like quantum of all of creation, like is thin. So you're able to like manifest, you're able to work with and create, like we're showing Carrie, you'll be able to like change your body. Like it's just showing me like an amoeba, like you'll be able to, what do they call that? Help me out, guys.
Like shapeshift?
Yes. To be able to shapeshift because you just realize everything's frequency vibration with matter. And so you can change the matter within the cells. You'll be able to realize that you won't need to eat. You'll start using, other energy forms to be able to thrive. It's just going to be it's kind of like if you were to access heaven here on earth, which it was supposed to evolve to. It just, things happen. But it's just a heaven on earth where you can have all that your heart's desires. So a lot of people, when they do go to the afterlife, what they consider the afterlife, end up going to the fifth dimension and coming back, and they're like, oh, it was beautiful. And it's like, well, that was a 5D way of living, unconditional love based, just really connected with one another, just wanting to see each other thrive, and just everything was very harmonious and loving and beautiful.
What is the sixth dimension?
So we're showing Carrie the sixth dimension is on a fifth dimensional planet, and it's usually like you'll have that interconnecting dimension between the other ones. So really when you jump dimensions, it would usually go from 5 to 7. And the 6 would be this buffering layer, which would be like the hybriding both dimensions. So it would possess both energies and both frequencies of the fifth and the seventh dimensional dimension. So it's like a transitional dimension.
What about the seventh? How are we affected by the seventh?
Seventh, you are no longer physical. You can manifest as a physical being, but you won't have any density to you. It'd be more like a hologram.
So are there actual beings in the seventh dimension?
Yes.
What do they do?
We're showing like a lot of your higher selves or oversouls are in the seventh dimension. So maybe you're a guide at that point, is what I'm understanding.
What about the eighth dimension?
Carrie's laughing because she's like, so we got to go back and do this all over again. Just we experience it from the higher perspective. Sorry, she just had a revelation. She's like, oh, so technically, even if I do leave Earth, I've got to come back.
That makes sense.
Right. And what they're saying about the higher dimensions is that every dimension holds its own frequency of what it wants to experience. However, the guys just really want people to focus on not too much in the future, right? Like when we feel too much information, what we feel like is we're over bombarding your human experience, your human brain with a lot of this information, and you get focused on the wrong things that, not wrong, but things that are distracting. And so what we're saying is the more and more we go higher in explaining dimensions is fine for understanding, but what we'd like you to more or less focus on is like the clearing out and doing your inner work for this frequency of this dimension that you're in, so that you're able then to access the fifth dimension and be able to master and learn that, because it's going to take you hundreds and hundreds of years if you're not already ascended master within that dimension to be able to master everything. I mean, like they're showing me it could be thousands of years that you're there to be able to master everything that you want to experience. So we don't want to overload. We want to keep it like basic fundamental layers today.
So what is an ascended master?
An ascended master is a being that we would call that is ascended to the seventh dimension, so that it has ascended all physical reality.
Okay, so what is the void?
The void can be specific things for specific people. Usually it's the place where time, space, everything just ceases to exist. It's just a place of neutral energy where you can really access all things that you want to access as far as knowings and understandings, but it's really a place of like a day spa, if you will. When people like to go to the void, it's because it's completely still. And it's sorry, we're working on Carrie's throat chakra right now. And it's completely still and absent of space and time.
So what kind of things can we do through the void? What does the void give us access to?
Well, the void is easier to access all things, but you have access to all things at all times. The only reason why it's easier to access all things at the void is because it's absent of space and time, and it's like a stillness. And so you don't have any distracting thoughts or anything that are limiting your ability to access all things. And so when you go to the void, it is literally a place of stillness to kind of like calm everything, like to just silence it all out. And so then you have a very, like, very focused ability to then channel and receive and access the things you wish to access and receive.
When we talk about the I am, what does that mean?
I am is you channeling in your energy of being God. And so when you say I am, you're channeling, you're invoking a spell, and you're channeling that energy into your God source channeling. Like you're telling and commanding the cells, the energy, you're commanding all things of what that spell is. Like we're saying to Carrie, like we're while saying that, she was asking the other day about whether like your thoughts and your spoken word hold different value here on Earth. And we're saying because you use telepathy on other planets and other dimensions, higher dimensions, as your primary way of speaking, that it was really important the words that you use here on Earth to hold more of a frequency and a vibration. And when you're in alignment in your mind and your thoughts and your words, it even lays more resonance to that frequency. And so we suggest that when doing anything, you speak it out loud, holding the intention and the belief of whatever you're speaking. Because if you have a thought, we necessarily don't cast that out onto it does have a like ripple effect into the world, but not as high as the frequency of a spoken affirmation. And so, or a spoken anything, is very, very powerful. And that's why they always say, like, think before you speak. And it's because those words actually do hold a higher numeric value within the infinite than a thought does. And so when your thoughts and your words are in alignment, you have just that much more powerful resonance of like commanding what you wish in this world with your spells. And so it's very, very important because like Carrie was saying, well, sometimes I pray or something like that, or talk to my guides within my mind. And it's like, yeah, but if you're using I ams, do not just say them in your head. Like be very, very like focused and say them in your word with truth. That's where we're working on her throat chakra earlier, is that we were helping her understand that the throat and the resonance of those words are so powerful, and that call it, command it, use those words, the power of three, the law of three. If you state something 3 times, it has even more resonance. Like use those things to live the life you want to live. It's very, very simple. You guys are overcomplicating it. And we just wanted to come in with that message of how important that is.
How can we use the I am to navigate or help us through the matrix?
So look at what's coming up for you, what your resistance are, your blockages. Instead of saying what those are, start saying the things and commanding the things that what you want it to be, not what it is now. And don't say it from a place of lack. Like try, instead of saying like we're saying, like if you want money, you know, we're using like the words don't and like can't, and all those conjunction words are not good in I am statements, because it's too confusing for the universe. And so be very specific on the things, the outcomes, and a positive higher vibration light that you do want to see and manifest, and that you start to feel that energy. Yeah, like conjunction words in those manifestations, like can't, won't, don't use anything of that past that you don't want in your life. Even if you say, I don't want this, you're still attracting that because the conjunction word and it just is too confusing with the vibration of the energy field that it puts out. So say specifically what you do want. And then to work with each chakra too, in the way that like if you're working with your third eye, and instead of saying I am, start saying I see. If you want to work with your heart, I feel. If you want to work with your other chakras, you know, I trust, you know, I create, and like whatever it is after that that you want to create. It's like I create abundance. I love abundance. I see abundance. Abundance is flowing in through the, you know, the the etheric realm through my crown. Like start saying your I am affirmations with every chakra, because then you're going to activate that affirmation within those chakras that are just now like they're all working in like in complete harmony for the thing that you want to achieve and to manifest.
Beautiful. Is there anything else that you want to say, either about the matrix, dimensions, or the I am?
No, we just want to say that like wherever anybody is at that specific point in their life is exactly where they're supposed to be. And that too, like we brought up with Carrie earlier when she said some old stuff, that the patterns and everything that were coming out this weekend for her that she felt like she overcame, like it's okay. You're able to sit with those now. Like the collective right now is being taught and being worked with on being comfortable in the uncomfortable. Like you guys are in a very transitional time right now where the worlds are splitting off. And so it's, you've never done this, you know, in this now moment. This is like the first time you've ever done this now moment, from every now moment to the other. So you can't base your past to now your future. Your past you have to let go of, because those rules are no longer going to apply the more and more you accelerate into the future. And so you've got to learn to just be uncomfortable and to learn to stay balanced in the uncomfortable and become comfortable in the uncomfortable right now. And that is a huge message for the collective. And your guides are here. You know, there are so many resources out there for you to get in connection with self and to understanding the things, the inner work that you need to work on right now. But really, it's about becoming uncomfortable. Take that ice plunge and learn to sit in it and enjoy it. And, you know, that's what it's about right now.
So when we first start our spiritual journey, I feel like we just we binge watch videos, we search for information because we just want to learn more. But as we just once we get to that point where it's like we just are so full of information, how can we actually start to embody these things for our highest and greatest good?
So how you can start embodying them is just take every lesson, every in that now moment, whatever you're being shown, and just apply that lesson. It may be a simple lesson, it may be a hard lesson, it may be, but take the now, the knowings, and start using it and applying it to your life. Because once you start applying it to your life, then that becomes, after the application has a positive result, right? That becomes wisdom, and you're able to show after, like, I understand this because I applied it to my life and it works. So like, so just start whatever it is, just tuning in, whatever is being shown to you, start then using all that knowledge and discernment and everything to just step by step, just apply what you can, take what you can, leave it, and just have unconditional love for yourself, that like it's okay exactly where you're at. Like there's no timetable. Like we don't need to rush you in a way of like time's ticking and you got to get moving. It's like, no, you're exactly where you need to be. Like it's okay. Just enjoy life, enjoy it, have as much fun as you can. And when you can apply that lessons and the understandings, apply them and just move from one moment to another of doing that, and you'll be fine.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Do you have any final messages for today?
No, just like we always say, we love you guys so much. You guys are doing amazing, and we're so proud of you and grateful to be here.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.